This meeting an important one for US President and the Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe. Natural treaty allies, of course, for generations, but under the surface of friendliness, there are some deep divisions, especially when it comes to trade. Remember, the US pulled out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership deal as the US President came into office. Despite lobbying from Tokyo, they are renewing bilateral trade negotiations, essentially based on those negotiations. But there are the threats, for example, of putting tariffs on cars from Japan and Europe, which would be a big problem for the Japanese-US relationship. There's steel tariffs as well. There's other things hurting the relationship when it comes to trade. On the DPRK, of the failure of the Hanoi summit between Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump, perhaps more wiggle room for Japan to reinsert itself into a process that has kind of been left out of during the last year or so. There are also other preparations for the G20 in Osaka in June. The US president is also going to Japan for a state visit, all that sort of stuff as well. But what's really important, especially for the Japanese domestic audience, is can Shinzo Abe, who has invested so much in this personal relationship with US Donald Trump. Remember, he turned up at Trump Tower shortly after he won the election, before he's inaugurated and presented a gold golf club to US President Trump, tried to really ingratiate himself, but hasn't seen a lot from it. Well, we'll wait and see. They are definitely going to play a round of golf if the weather holds. You can hear it raining here in Washington. The other bit of news from the White House is that the US president announced at the National Rifle Association talks that they are pulling out of a UN treaty regulating the arms trade. It wasn't ratified by the US Senate. Let's listen to the US president.
The United Nations will soon receive a formal notice that America is rejecting this treaty. By taking these actions, we are reaffirming that American liberty is sacred and that American citizens live by American laws, not the laws of foreign countries.
And although this wasn't ratified, as I said, by the US Senate, it is very symbolic indeed. It's a $70 billion trade. The UN General Assembly vastly, overwhelmingly put this into effect back in 2013. The only other countries not to join on were Iran, the DPRK, and Syria. And the US, by pulling out, essentially joins that club of nations. Nathan King, CGTN of the White House.